All right, hey guys, welcome back to another Sage Dragon presentation. So hopefully you guys have by now watched the RPE breakdown and elaboration. So now as I use that RPE system to program here, we can follow along. So one little bit of caveat, I only have so big of a whiteboard, and this corner here is actually done in permanent marker because those are Jamie and I's personal goals. So they always permanently stay up there. I don't erase them until we achieve them. So for now, simply to give you guys a visual aid so you can follow along, I've written out 5 days here, and I'm going to just put the caveat on that we're going to assume the 2 days that aren't on the calendar are our active and passive recovery days. So we're just going to assume that. We're just going to assume for simplicity's sake that you have a Monday through Friday volume structure. Now, not all of you are going to have that. That's totally fine. Doesn't fucking matter. This is just to illustrate illustrate today with a visual medium. So let's say that Monday, International Chest Day, right? So let's say Monday, we're going to do push-pull. Push-pull. So I can do my chesty days and get my antagonist-agonist relation filled in the same way, right? I want to not have to account for a back day other than my compound back day, so I'm going to do a push-pull day. I'm going to do this push-pull day because I know that it's not max-out day. Because I know that, I'm going to do this at an RPE of approximately 5 to 6. We might hit consistent 2 sets in a row of 6 over the course of our push-pull day. All right. So now, the next way that I'm going to personally program is the next day. Next day, I'm not going to hit anything with any agonists. So because I did bench today, I'm not going to squat on Tuesday. I happen to notice in myself and in the majority of my clients, majority of shoulder problems actually come from squatting after bench day when your bench day hasn't fully recovered and you're still in that hypertonic, tight, we just work the muscles out type of thing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put my squat day, I'm going to create a spacer day here, and I'm going to put my squat day, squat/press, lower body press, on Wednesday at an RPE probably, it's a squat day, so it'll probably be between oh, that's a 7. I need to write a 6. You can tell I'm left-handed because I ain't right. But anyways, so I'm actually going to create a spacer day here, right? So maybe my RPE, maybe my Monday push-pull day doesn't hit the highest RPE, which is fine, because we're going to do this again, I'm assuming, the following day. Because this is a lifestyle. We're gonna hit it regardless. But how do we build a schedule in which we can hit it consistently and get enough rest and recovery that we continue to see our gains? So, couple options on this Tuesday flex. This Tuesday flex, I can either, depending on where I am in the training day, or in the training week, in the micro, meso, macro schedule phasing of it all. Because here's another thing. This 3-week span This 3 weeks that we're looking at today, that we're planning out today, this is a mesocycle. It's a medium length. If it was just this 1 week, that'd be a microcycle. If it was just these 2 weeks, it'd be a microcycle. But once it hits the end of this 3rd week, we get into the small end of the mesocycle. So, to account for that, what I'm going to do Tuesday is I'm either going to do another RPE 4 to 6. So I'm not even going into 7. I'm not even getting into that intense. I'm just in that moderate. I'm just like picking weights up and putting them down with kind of a casual care in the world on this Tuesday. Or I'm just going to take an active recovery day and I'm going to do something like Tai Chi, Qigong. I might do a boxing workout with low intensity, not trying to gas myself, just trying to, grease the groove on my left hand, my right hand, my hooks, my uppercuts, whatever. So I'm either going to do an RPE 4 to 6, body weight only, so I'll either do an RPE 4 to 6, body weight only, no fucking gear, no equipment. We did that shit on Monday. Push-pull day. Or I'm going to do a work in. I'm not trying to work out every day. We need to work in and facilitate the growth that comes from tomorrow's exercise. So I might do some Tai Chi. Tai Chi, Qigong, certain highly active yogas where it's more about the transitions between poses than it is about the poses itself, right? Like a yin yoga is all about the positions itself. We're holding positions for 2 to 3 fucking minutes per pose. And we're also not transitioning very quickly. But then on the other side of things, something like, I don't know, I'm probably wrong in the labeling of it, but something like an Ashtanga, where we're gonna try and fit fucking 45 or some shit fucking poses in there, 45 plus poses in the course of a half an hour. You're basically doing another position every couple seconds, but you're also not holding any of those positions long enough to fatigue or count it as an isometric. So it just becomes, so what happens with workouts like that is you actually generate more energy than you expel. That's why we call it a work in rather than a work out. When you work out the surplus energy, the surplus built up charge that you have, you work it out. You want to be completely exhausted, fatigued, whatever at the end of that. Now, what you don't want to do is always be emptying out, which is why we try to create these breaks. So anyways, getting back to it. So now after squats and lower body press, we have the option to come back to our upper body moves, to do an upper body move that's different, so maybe an OHP, an overhead press day, at an RPE. We went and capped out at 8 here. Our rest day's coming up. We could hit one more 8 day. So we've got it in our flexibility to hit a 6 to 8 RPE on our overhead press here. It's still an upper body pressing movement, but it's a completely different, it's still the same muscle groups, but it's a different movement pattern, and that's why it's going to end up working for us. I learned a great trick when I used to do calisthenics. I learned that if you've just spent the last 20 minutes doing lunges, if you go spend 5-10 minutes and do push-ups, you can do all 5 or 10 minutes of them fucking push-ups because you're, transposing the lactic acid from one area to another part of the body. It's got to go mobilize all that lactic response, and then it's going to have to just kind of take it up introduce some ADP or some creatine if you're taking your creatine supplement, and just kind of help it to like mobilize that lactic acid again. It turns back into ADP, and it becomes a useful resource again. It's really just when you're hammering that one muscle group into failure, and then continuing to try and push that one muscle group further into failure, that you start to like give your muscles an acid bath that are just so taxing and fatiguing that you can't really recover from it. But if we like jump around movement pattern, you can generally fatigue the movement pattern, therefore double hitting the muscle group, right? So in this OHP mock-up, I'm still hitting the anterior deltoids. I'm still hitting pec major, pec minor, anterior serratus, posterior serratus, all the other thoracic stabilizers. I'm still hitting my thoracic, I'm still hitting my core. But I'm fatiguing a different movement pattern, and that's what's going to allow me to go the distance with that. It's also what's going to allow me to be good to go for bench press or whatever the fuck my push-pull Monday is, including this following Monday, right? So now, again, this first week's done. So next what I'm going to do, well, it's not done. We've still got a Friday. What do we want to do Fridays? Let's hit legs for our second time this week. Because that's how I like to program. I don't understand. I see a lot of people hit their hinge and their squat on the same day. That's weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's personal preference. Maybe I'm just a little baby back bitch that doesn't like to walk around on the same fucking fatigued muscles. But I've just never understood, like, you've got two muscle groups, the front and back, effectively, like, sort of colloquially. You've got the front and back aspects of your legs that you can walk around sore on. So, like, why are you going to squat and hit your glute ham tie-in and your glutes and your quads and fatigue those out, and then be recovering those at the same time that you're trying to walk around on a fatigued hinge as well? But I don't know. Everybody's a little different. So for our Friday, I'm going to go ahead and write in. Now, the one thing about this week's deadlifts, this first mock week's deadlifts, we've already kind of used 2 consecutive days for a high RPE on a non-max out day. Because that's the other bit of context. I know it's a lot of information. This is why we organize it. It's a lot of moving fucking parts. This is why we try to keep it. Once we start to organize it in a matrix like this, we can start to see that, okay, over the course of the month, I still got the same amount of everything in, but I did it in a way that didn't fucking break me down. Okay? So, this week's deadlifts over here, we're going to hit hinge and hinge / lower body extensions. We're going to probably do our deadlifts and our glute ham kickbacks and our reverse hypers and our, I don't know, fucking, what's the one? The bent over one? Is that just a kickback? Yeah, just a kickback. Just our glute ham kickbacks. We're going to do all that on this hinge day, right? So this hinge day, we're probably going to keep the RPE low, but take the volume up. So we're going to keep the RPE around a 4 and a 6. We're going to max out at a 6. We're not going any harder than a 6. These movements will actually be really, really easy. This kind of day, this 4 to 6 day with high volume, it's another one of those days that, like our Tuesday, is more of a work in. We're actually generating more energy than we're expelling. Now, again, going back to what I said originally, we're going to assume that this not accounted for Saturday, that's going to be our passive day. We can just sit around and fucking maybe just take a walk or some shit, walk the dogs or whatever. And then this Sunday, this imaginary Sunday over here, that's going to be our passive Saturday was already our passive, so that Sunday is going to be our active recovery. Active recovery day is going to require some effort from you, but not require that you put much effort out. You're still going to be more of a work in than a work out. You're still going to generate more energy than you're going to put out over the course of this. But what we're going to do for this Sunday's active recovery is yin yoga, the lower body. That's what we'll do. We'll do lots of dragons, which is just a lunge, but held as a pose. We'll do dragon high, dragon low, dragon flying high. We'll do fragging. We'll do, we had some overhead press, so we might do some puppy dog as well, and maybe some Muay Thai prayer, right? And get them shoulder girdles opened up. So this is going to become like a yin yoga day. And then we're back to Monday. Now, we're back to Monday. We have two options setting up this Monday now, right? Because this Tuesday, we don't want to like flippity dip that every time, right? So one thing we're going to do with this Monday is I'm actually going to tell myself, you know what? I'm going to switch Monday and Tuesday this week. And this will be my RPE, 4 to 6. So I've almost snuck in cellularly on a cellular tissue-based level. I've almost snuck in 3 fucking recovery days in a row. That's gonna feel weird. For a lot of you that like have to go fucking work out, and you haven't yet familiarized yourself with the work in concept, for a lot of you who have gotten so used to, so like maybe you used to be fat at the beginning of this journey. No judgment, just objectively speaking. Like if I was fat. When you come from a place where you're already fat, you're already overweight, you're already fucking like full, whatever, however you want to fucking call it, you already have kind of a surplus of energy, right? Now, there are certain scientific parts where what I'm saying breaks down, and then there are other certain parts where like it kind of doesn't, and it kind of supports what I'm talking about. The main point here that I'm trying to make is that like when I went from being big to being small, I developed this really fucked up mentality that was very like negative this. Like I would not program like this. Because when I was in this place where I was like heavy and I had to lose it, I was always concerned with getting down to a smaller weight, getting away from being called fat, like whatever. I was always trying to get it all out of me. I wanted to not be classified as that anymore. So I got into this mentality where like, it's like the runner's mentality, right? I've talked about this on other videos. The runner's mentality of like, well, the first week you started running, the first week you started exercising, you used running to do it. And in running, you felt fucking cathartic. You had a huge release because you like switched your body out of sedentary into like mobilized mode for the first time in forever. So you had a cathartic release of just getting your human machine back to being a human machine. Then you felt really great because you looked down at the fucking Dexatron or the hand heart rate scaler or just the little fucking estimated printout on the treadmill readout, and it told you that in this half a mile that you just ran in 20 minutes, 20 minutes for half a mile. But anyways, doesn't matter. Not judging. In that time, you burned 230 calories or some shit. And like our human logical brain was like, oh cool, that's quantifiable. Because now our brain is like, if I burn that amount of calories 5 times a week, that's 1,000 calories burned a week. Where I was burning roughly like 400 or 500 calories a week. Now I'm burning 1,000 calories a week. It's more, so our brain tells us like we can go for that. What our brain doesn't know is our brain doesn't understand that every day that we run, we get better at running. And every day that we get better at running, we get more efficient at running. And every time we get more efficient at running, it requires more running to get the same breakdown, right? So, getting back to my point, it just creates this kind of hamster wheel scrimmage towards the finish that's never coming. Because the more effort you put into the fucking hamster wheel, the more effort the hamster wheel requires of you. So that's another thing. So like 3 days of light work can feel potentially really fucking itchy to some people. So I get it. You're gonna need to do this all 3 weeks, at least once or twice, just to kind of get the hang of this. So, but anyways, so now, after a Sunday recovery, active recovery day, we're gonna have a light to moderate welcome back Monday. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna afford us an RPE allotment. And there is no RPE allotment. This is just kind of a guideline rule of thumb for me, because once you get to a place where you're undulating your fucking RPEs anyways, once you get to a place where you understand that you just need to put in the time at the gym, you don't need to put in 3 fucking hours at the gym, you don't need to put in, like, you don't have to hit fucking 315 on a bench press in order to, like, qualify that you are doing stuff at the gym. Anything, sort of thing like that, right? Like, I'm trying to think of all the, like, fucked up mentalities and mindsets that I had, you know? Another good mindset to get away from is the, like, I had a cheat meal, so I'll just sweat it off. It doesn't fucking work like that. So, like, no. But anyways. So, anyways, this RPE 4 to 6 push-pull day that we're going to do, bodyweight push-pull day. Last week we did it on a Tuesday. This week we're going to do it on a Monday. What that's going to allow us is this week, we're going to go like this. We're going to have a moderate push-pull day. Still hitting chest. It's still International Chest Day. Still hitting chest on Monday. We're not at the bench press. We're probably at the dip bar. We're probably on the push-up handles. We're probably at the those little turning knobs, the perfect push-up thing. We're probably on the parallel bars to do either deep push-ups or dips, depending on how tall your parallel bars are. Then we can go into a heavy fucking, then we can go into our heavy bodyweight push-pull day. Or, like, we can do that. Or, let's say that this week we know that, you know what, that guy who always hogs that one rack that's really fucking good for overhead press, he's never there on Tuesday. So you know what, I'm going to use my overhead press this week on Tuesday, and I've just had 3 days off. I've had 3 light days, so I've got a lot of energy built up. I got a lot of fucking energy, and I really want to see a nice titty and deltoid pump. You know what? I'm going to OHP up to a fucking 8 today. So we're going to go, let's go to 6. Let's go to 6 to 8. So now we've got an OHP, we've got overhead press, 6 to 8 day. 6 to 8, that's almost a fucking max day. Not quite. We might be working at 80% of our previously set 1RM on this day, calling for an 8. We're not trying to set a new 1RM, and we're not trying to hit volume work at that 80%, but we might get to lift a decent load on the overhead press. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our squat day. And this week, in my mock-up, this second week, I'm going to keep the squat day low so that I can hit my hinge day extra hard this week. So we got our squat lower body press day. And we're going to drop this back down. We're going to go 4 to 6. So this is a squat volume day. So that's probably going to be sets to 12. Gross. And if it's not sets to 12, it could also be explosive. If I have an RPE that calls for 6 to 8, but I also like have some ligament or joint issues going on that week, to let my joints rest, I might get the RPE through a lower volume. Like, I'm going to say that, I'm not going to write it down. We're going to continue to illustrate this, but I'm going to give you that quick little pro tip about how I'll do things for myself. And what I'll do then is I'll focus on the intensity of lift. So like, let's say, like, okay, so I bench 225 right now, right? That's like my soft 1RM. So what's like 30% of 225? I don't know, without a calculator. I'm gonna say 95, right? Because that's what I would end up loading it. So I would load 95 pounds on my bench press, and I would do sets to repetitions of 6. But within those repetitions of 6, because I see that the RPE calls for a 6 to an 8, but I know that I'm keeping the weight low because like my joints hurt or some shit that week, then what I'm gonna focus on is tempo. I'm gonna aim for full extension, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. And I'm at, rather than like my normal bench press rate of speed, I'm gonna aim to fucking have reps completed at a considerably faster pace because I'm working with that lower weight. So, but anyways, so we've got our 4 to 6 lower body press day. Now, because we did OHP on a Tuesday this week, it obviously doesn't go on Thursday, so this week we get a push-pull again. Push-pull after squat day. But again, I kept the RPE for the squat day kind of low this week so that I could put my fucking final bench press of the week up here on my Thursday, still get a decent RPE in, and also after opening my chest up for squats, I'm not still so fucking sore from that I can actually make it through my push day. So we've got push-pull, decent RPE day, so we're gonna say, I already know that I wanna do deadlifts really heavy this week, so I'm gonna keep it as intense as I can while still keeping it low enough that I've got energy for my deadlifts. So let's say a 5 to 7 RPE. That's a decent RPE. A 7 RPE on a push-pull day, you're still gonna get some juicy titty pump, man. Now, I love deadlifts. I love my deadlifts. So now, it's fucking exciting deadlift day. Lower body extension. And in fact, so I mentioned before that last Friday, when I kept my RPE 4 to 6 and I worked on hinge and lower body extension, I said that that was the day for reverse hypers, that was the day for glute ham kickbacks, that was the day for all the shit that you can do body weight. But this following Friday, since I've kept my RPE demands relatively low, what I'm gonna do for myself is I'm actually gonna get this day done in about 35 minutes. This is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hit my heavy fucking deadlifts, and then as soon as I'm done with my heavy fucking deadlifts, I'm gonna do real power cleans. Like, I don't do a lot of power cleans, but as a prior defensive back in my youth, like, power cleans are something I'm really good at. I've just got a lot of practice. And they're a hip extension exercise, and they're a total body conditioner. So I'm gonna kind of double up and kind of cheese, because like, let's say this Friday that I've accounted for, that I'm writing right now, maybe I'm taking Jamie out for a date, you know? So I've only got 30 to 40 fucking minutes for the gym that day anyways. I wanna get as good of one as I possibly can. So I'm gonna hit deadlifts at RPE 8 warm-up, of course, with preparatory movements going into it. But my top set, I'm going to do a kind of a flat load, and my top set on my deadlifts going to be about an RPE 8. I'm going to hit about 85% of my 1RM for probably a double or a triple. And then I'm going to do power cleans. Power cleans at an RPE 6. RPE 6, still high enough. I've still got, I don't know, what's my fucking power clean at right now? Probably 205. My power clean's kind of trash. So at an RPE 6, I'll probably do power cleans of like, I'll probably do 135. Yeah, for a 6. And I'll probably do sets of 7 to 8, maybe 9, maybe if I'm feeling squirrely. But between that deadlift and that power clean, I got A, total body workout in, and B, I doubled down on my lower body work as well. And then that's done. And then we've got our Saturday to recover. And then we've got our Sunday to actively recover. And then we're back to our Monday. Now, this is week 3. So me, personally, I know that at the end of week 3, I've got a test day. So I actually have to be really, really conservative with my RPE this week. In fact, I'm going to start at the end of the week, this last week, this third week, before I reset my mesocycle, or my microcycle in this case. So I'm going to say, what day do we want to test? Do we want to test on Thursday or Friday? Well, we went pretty hard here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down. So we're going to test on Friday. We're going to test day. So that's test day. And that's going to be an RPE 9 to 10. That's a 9 to 10. That's a 9 to 10 RPE day coming up. That is really something to look forward to. Like, I'm salivating. Woo! I got a like max out day. I got a max effort day coming up. That's fucking exciting. So, this whole week, I don't even, honestly, hypothetically, I know test day's coming up. I don't even give a fuck about the rest of this whole week. We could do whatever. I could do yoga 7 days and still be happy with that. Of course, contextually speaking, that's from undulating your energy in this way starts to create. So working backwards from our test day, we're actually going to want one little day where we kind of taper down again. So we want a low RPE day. And we know that on my test day, we're testing our deadlift. So we actually don't want deadlift. So that falls onto a nice track because that's when deadlifts have occurred anyways. But we don't want to pre-fatigue that too much. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do, let's do a lower body push and pull body weight. So that's going to be an RPE of like a 3 to a 5. Push-pull legs. It's kind of an anticipatory day. It's kind of a preparatory day. We know that we've got lunges, squats, and deadlifts, we know that we have lunges or squats and deadlifts, I should say, on test day. So we're not going to do any of those movement patterns with weight, with resistance, but we are going to do those movement patterns to kind of preamble and set them up for success. It's kind of like the working concept again, but it's preparatory. I know that we are also testing overhead press on test day. So This Wednesday also is going to be a body weight. Forgot to write that. Body weight. We're going to do the same thing here. Body weight. Uh, 4 to 6. Push, pull. What do we want to do for Tuesday? You know what? It's test week. Might as well get some testosterone in advance. So Tuesday we're going to do sprints. Sprints actually, sprint day and test day are actually the two peak RPE days of this week. This whole week is a low RPE scale. Except for 2 days, which I require fucking all of it. You know, so it kind of balances out that way. So we're going to do sprints. And within those sprints, we want to max out and we want to hit an RPE of 9 at our top set. And then all we have left is just to plan for this Monday, which, you know what? Since we're front loading all the legs at the end of the week, let's go ahead and get a hanging core day. We haven't even seen that yet. So let's get a hanging core day. Hanging core day can call for a decent That's a fucking RPE 7.8. Ow! Fuck. Alright, now, 2 things that this hypothetical schedule has created for us. Alright? So 1, because there's such a focus on compounds, okay, this is a really deep context I need to elaborate for. Because we already focus on our compounds predominantly, we have very, very little fucking focus on bicep curls and fucking tricep extensions and fucking calf raises or whatever stupid fucking superfluous bullshit that like keeps people busy in the gym. Because we're focused on the core and multiple movement directions, multiple planes of movement, multiple and varying load schemes, and they're all core-centric, i.e. being compound movements. Because we have that, we don't need its own fucking core day every single day of the week. We don't need one. So, when we do get one, it does 2 things for us. 1, we get ample return on it, because we also haven't like increased its adaptation to the point where we have to do all sets of 12 on this core day in order to see any sort of return. We're also passively building the core through our compound movements. This is just the one day where we kind of zoom in on the shit, right? Same thing with sprints. And sprints don't have to be sprints. Maybe you're not a sprinter. Maybe you despise running for fucking 9 seconds at an all-out pace. Maybe you've got some sport-specific or you individual-specific goal coming up. Maybe you want to go to the donut fun run at the end of September or some shit, and you'd like to be able to run the whole 5K at a jog or higher. Like, that's cool. You've got specific goals you're training for. It doesn't have to be sprints. It's a cardio outlet, is the point. It doesn't have to be sprints. But by keeping our sprints or our 5K or whatever cardio-based thing we're keeping, by keeping it to a honed-in visual, a honed-in kind of like specified day, and also not letting it run rampant over the course of our whole fucking calendar, we adapt enough, but we don't over-adapt. So I know that if I'm only doing one sprint day, I'm not a sprinter. I am not like going to Hershey Field to run in a fucking track meet anytime soon. If I was, I would be, like, if I was, my sprints and my deadlifts would trade places. I'd only be doing deadlifts like once a month, or squats like, well, no, I'd probably be doing all sorts of different types of squats still, but like my deadlifts would only be doing, I'd only be doing them once a month, because that's a lot of demand that is kind of counterintuitive to the sprint capacity. I'd still be doing it to still be applying that adaptation and that demand on the central nervous system, but you see what I'm saying, like in this frequency rather than in this frequency. And this day, the sprint day or this running day, this cardio day, this would become all my fucking Fridays, and and they'd swap. But anyways, because my sprints are only once a month, and because I've backlogged and planned for them to be that way, I'm going to run those 9 sprints, those 7, 8, 9 sprints, whatever like I end up doing on that sprint day, and I'm going to get all the return on them, and I'm going to adapt enough that they carry my cardiovascular conditioning into the next 3 weeks, at which point I'll like do another sprint day. But they're not going to be adapting me so much that I have to do 10 sprints, 11 sprints in order to see the same return. So it's kind of like Venn diagramming, right? Like I'm just always trying to balance the fucking overlap. Real balance is not like 50 on one side and 50 on the other and like a fucking flat scale. Real balance is like 30 plates that all need to spin, and you're just really good at keeping them spinning. Like that's what real balance kind of is. At least to me anyways. That's kind of, because like the way that we're trapped by language, like to say balance, like we think it means this one thing and the scale kind of represents it the best, but then like using the scale reference for something that doesn't equal the scale, like it starts to get confusing. So anyways, but yeah. So now, and again, I only drew 3 weeks here because effectively the next 3 weeks would look something like this. And then the next 3 weeks would look something like that. So I'm going to give it up close for you guys. I hope this has helped. So, like I said before, we start off with a push-pull with like an RPE 5 to 6. Then we've got an active recovery day or a low RPE body weight, no implement push-pull day. And then we've got a 6 to 8 RPE squat day. Then we go to overhead press. Then we go to our hinge day, which is our deadlift day. Then we come back to it. Then we've got our Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday is our passive recovery. That's like I don't do shit and I recover. And then our active recovery, which is like I do shit that requires so little of me, but does require of me, that I end up gaining more energy and more mobility and less restriction into where I'm moving, how I'm moving, etc. Then we come back, we're back on a Monday, and now we're going to change it up just ever so slightly, right? I've still got a push-pull twice. I've still got overhead press. So I've still got all my movement patterns that I personally like to account for. And then we're coming over. We've got a squat, lower tempo than the previous week. But then this week, this 4th week, is going to be high tempo squat again and low tempo hinge as we kind of recover from our previous test day. And then as we undulate that way, up and down, then it allows us enough nervous central fatigue recuperation that we can still see and feel our gains moving forward. Because if we're ready to switch to this type of scheme, it's because we're already past the point of like, I ate bad, so I have to get a workout in. We've moved into the zone of like, I'm going to work out regardless. Now, how can I do it in a way that is time efficient, in a way that is maximizing my use of time at the gym per ritual time. You know, like if you go to the gym every day at 5, you know, whatever, like you want to know how to best maximize that time. So, trying to think if there's anything I've missed here. I don't think so, but I really hope that that helps. Drop me a comment below after you watch this video. Let me know, like, do I need a microphone? Is my sound shit? Do I need to take you guys closer to the whiteboard? Is my cameraman-ing ability shit? Probably. Like, Joe's good at teaching people, not good at fucking filming the teacher. You know what I mean? Does all of this make sense? Do you have any questions, comments, bitches, gripes, concerns? Comment below. Tag your friends if you think they would find this helpful. Stay safe. Keep sanitizing. Stay quarantined. Don't go outside if you don't have to. You know, outside being like the mall. You know, go out in your yard and enjoy the sunshine. But other than that, happy times from Sage Dragon to you guys. Have a great day. Peace.